It's that time of the year for residents of the nation's capital when security is paramount. Recent reports of kidnapping in Kuje and Kwale area councils and the killings in Abuja area council are not helping the narrative. There are still concerns over the security situation in the nation's capital, and my guest this week provides some assurances to Abuja residents. Season's greetings and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I'm Ibrahim Adra. The Minister of State for the Federal Capital Territory, Mrs. Ramatu Aliyu, has completed her tour of the satellite towns within the Abuja Municipal Area Council. Now we have details of the places she visited, and in the interview segment, the FCT Police Commissioner, Mr. Bala Chiroma, speaks about security as the year comes to an end. But first, as usual, let's kick off with stories that made the headline within the week in the nation's capital.
President Muhammadu Buhari has signed the 2020 appropriation bill into law, with a hint that he may revert to the National Assembly for viament or relevant amendments. The president signed a budget of 10.59 trillion naira after the National Assembly increased its earlier proposal by about 260 billion naira.
I am very pleased that the National Assembly worked uncommonly long hours in the interest of our people and the national economy to ensure detailed legislative review and passage of the budget within 2 months. This patriotic zeal adopted by the Ninth National Assembly has restored our budget cycle to a predictable January to December fiscal year. I have directed that efforts be made to ensure the presentation of the 2021 appropriation bill to the National Assembly in September 2020. I am confident that all federal ministries, departments, and agencies, budget and national planning to keep to this timeline. I will work with the Ninth National Assembly to give effect to the constitutional, legislative, and other actions that may be necessary to address the various challenges currently associated with our federal budgeting process, including the enactment of an organic budget bill. The 2020 budget passed by the National Assembly provides the aggregate expenditures of 10.594 trillion naira, an increase of 263.95 billion naira over the executive proposal that was submitted in October 2019.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has announced that capital releases for the 2019 budget has hit 1.2 trillion naira as at December 12. She gave the figure while giving a breakdown of the 2020 budget.
Capital releases could only commence after the signing of the 2019 budget, which was done on 27th of May 2019. As at 12th of November, we have been able to release 1.212 trillion naira in capital releases. 1.212 trillion naira in capital releases. Spending on capital has continued to be prioritized in favor of critical ongoing infrastructure projects in the power, rail, as well as the agricultural sectors.
Happy birthday to you.
President Muhammadu Buhari turned 77 on Tuesday, December 17, 2019, making him Nigeria's oldest serving president ever. Family, friends, and close aides led by the Secretary to the Federal Government, Mr. Boss Mustafa, presented a birthday card to him, and he seized the moment to uncover what had been in his mind as far as the 2023 general election is concerned. President Buhari vowed not to favor any politician and promised to deliver a credible election in 2023.
Well, what I want to promise Nigerians that I will work very hard on is free and fair election. All those that are going to succeed the National Assembly and the presidency, they better work very hard, because I will make sure, using the law enforcement agencies that elections are free and fair. Nobody uses his office or his resources to force himself on his constituencies. I think I feel well at 77. If you know 77, have you ever played tambola? They say scratches. Those who are at 77, a lot of them are on the scratches. I'm working on my 2 feet.
In the meantime, the House of Representatives has rejected a bill which seeks to amend the Constitution for a single term of 6 years for the President and governors, and a 6-year term for members of the National Assembly and State Houses of Assembly.
Those against say nay. The nays have it.
At least 22 former governors are either being investigated by the federal government or already standing trial in various courts. The Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, made the announcement at a press conference.
Our fight against corruption is total, comprehensive, and dispassionate, devoid of any political or ethnic sentiments or inclination. One of the multiple institutions involved in the fight against corruption, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, was able to, from 2015 to September 2019, convict 1,636 persons involved in corruption-related offenses. It might interest you to note that former state governors and even serving senators are not spared. Currently, high-profile personalities, including judicial officers and former governors indicted for corruption, have been prosecuted and many sentenced to jail. We have 3 former governors convicted and serving various jail terms for corruption-related crimes while in office. Equally, 22 ex-governors are either under probe or on trial.
Meanwhile, the Federal Capital Territory High Court has granted the request of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to remand former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Mohammed Adoke, for 14 days. The order was made by Justice Othman Musa, following an ex parte motion moved by the Anti-Graft Agency. Mr. Adoke has been in the custody of the EFCC after he was picked up by Interpol upon his return to the country from the United Arab Emirates. Staying with the courts, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court has summoned the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, and the Director General of the Department of State Services, Mr. Yusuf Bichi, over the continued detention of the convener of the Revolution Now campaign, Mr. Omoyele Sowore. The order was made after Mr. Sowore filed an application challenging his rearrest and continued detention by the DSS after he was released on bail. President Muhammadu Buhari has commissioned the National Command and Control Center, as well as the first phase of the Nigeria Police Crime and Incidents Database Center at the force headquarters. He also launched electronic surveillance vehicles and civil disorder management trucks acquired by the police to strengthen their crime-fighting capacity.
Notwithstanding the achievements you have recorded, I charge the police leadership to avoid complacency in the efforts towards ridding the country of crimes. My vision is to bequeath to our nation a legacy of a reformed, modernized, fully equipped, highly motivated, and citizen-focused police force that is reorientated to the virtues of professionalism, respect for rule of law, due process, and best international practices in their operations.
As the year winds down, ministers are given account of their stewardship in their first 100 days in office. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Minister of Transport, and Minister of Budget and National Planning all gave their scorecards at the last Federal Executive Council meeting of the year. In the coming weeks, the remaining 43 ministers will take turns to give their scorecards since they assumed office in August 2019. Finally, President Buhari has set up the National Action Committee for the African Continental Free Trade Area, with a charge to members to support ministries, departments and agencies, as well as businesses, to achieve the full benefit of the agreement. At the inauguration of the committee, President Buhari asks the members to submit a report to him by March 2020.
As a government, we must ensure that Nigeria's position remains that such integration must be rules-based, with built-in safeguards against injurious practices. Nigeria's approach to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement has been very measured and consistent. Our logic was simple. As Africa's largest economy and most populous nation, we cannot afford to get it wrong. This therefore requires aligning, restructuring existing development projects, programs and initiatives. Where there are gaps, we must address them. Accordingly, we have established the National Action Committee on African Continental Trade Area Agreement. As a committee, your mandate is to support the efforts of ministries, departments, and agencies of government, stakeholder associations, and businesses to realize the benefit of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, while putting measures to address any threats that may arise. All parties must work together and not allow any loopholes that might prove injurious to the Nigerian economy.
Thank you for staying with us. The Federal Capital Territory Administration is promising to complete the 19 billion naira Karshi water project in record time to address the challenges of water supply in the satellite towns. Now here are the details. The Minister of State for the Federal Capital Territory, accompanied by the Director of Satellite Towns Development Department, as well as the Chairman of the Abuja Municipal Area Council, take a familiarization tour of communities and projects within the Area Council. One of such projects is the 19 billion naira Karshi water project, which was started in 2013 and it's 45% complete. The terms of the contract also cover the construction of Karshi Dam Reservoir, clear water tank and a water treatment plant, as the project is expected to draw water from rainfall.
Most of the water you're going to have are rainfall water. It's only very small water that is going to come in, very small water during the dry season, it's off. So most of the reservation we're having there, based on the plateau that we have, is going to be rainfall water.
The minister also inspected the Orozo Mini Stadium project and the Karu Abattoir, but the area councils are asking for help from the administration.
Sincerely, I would like to appeal to the Honourable Minister to know that I need to sympathize with the political class, particularly those in the Federal Capital Territory. And I wonder why some people may even be thinking of contesting to become chairman of area councils, because of the enormous challenges that area councils are facing today. But I believe your coming is like a messiah to us. And we really want to thank you very much and thank Mr. President for finding you worthy of being appointed a minister for the Federal Capital Territory.
If there is what I need most importantly, and we all need it in this administration, is your prayers, your support, your total commitment to duty, due diligence to work. For if you do not do your bit, it will be difficult for the politician to actually actualize the dream of equity, of development, of infrastructures, if you are not committed. There will be suggestion boxes in area councils. Feel free to drop notes. There are things, there are information that when we do know, the synergy will be better created. A relationship will be more cemented. And on this note, there will be development and equity. I want to assure you all on the notes and the message of President Buhari that indeed the area councils must smile again.
The minister concludes her tour with visits to the palace of some of the graded chiefs in the nation's capital. She is promising them that next year, the Federal Capital Territory Administration is planning to embark on empowerment programs for women and youths within the communities.